Why did they do that, Dad?
I wish I knew, Bruce.
What do we do? How do we make them stop?
I don't know. I'm just one person. I don't know how to fix the world. But I know what I'm good at. Teaching. Every student I meet, I know I have a chance to make a difference in their life. So maybe someday, one of my students won't make the same mistakes these people made. And what about you, kiddo? What will you do?
Absolute Batman Annual #1 was released in October of 2025 and was pitched as this new version of Batman beating up a white supremacist organization. This comic was always going to have a lot of discussion, especially when it's depicting something so topical, but I doubt anyone could have predicted just how far these images would spread. They were being reposted everywhere. It broke through the Absolute Batman fan bubble and really became something more, which leads to a lot of people in the discussion not having read the actual comic, which I think is fine. Engaging with art is not an obligation. If somebody sees a single drawing from this comic I love and that inspires them, nobody should be able to take that away from them. It only ever becomes a problem when the people engaging in this discussion are misinterpreting the themes based off one image, which luckily in the case of this comic, oh God. So, like all pieces of art nowadays that become mainstream, it became a bunch of culture war bullshit with grifters online claiming that it was woke and promoting violence, yada yada, which I can't help but find hilarious because this comic subverted my expectations. I wanted an issue of Batman beating up racists. I am by no means a violent person. I don't hurt flies or any bugs for that matter. I think a lot of people in my life take this as a joke, but I am serious. That is my genuine philosophy. I don't think my irritation at a bug is justification enough for me to take its life, but I'm not blind. I see the world getting worse and I think up solutions I wish I didn't. I wanted this comic to indulge my anger, but it didn't. It left me nauseous, confused, and more lost than I was when I started it, as the 3 short stories depict an unexpectedly complex and nuanced perspective on violence. Is violence ever justified? What is the cost of violence? And genuinely, not a rhetorical question, is it ever the answer?
Bruce drives into Slaughter Swamp, passing a refugee camp. Tens of homeless gathered around a single fire. Bruce pulls up to a pawn shop as the owner walks him inside.
As requested, explosives, modified rubber bullets, beanbags, the works.
Non-lethal?
Less lethal.
That'll work.
Bruce asks about the tent city he passed on the way in, to which the store owner responds that some big company started construction but just left for no reason 3 months in. Bruce starts asking about where the people came from, but is interrupted by someone calling for help. Bruce rushes over as the store owner tells him,
Leave that alone, son. Nothing you can do.
Bruce turns the corner to see a mother and son being assaulted on the street by 3 men in pig masks. The mother says please stop in Spanish as they respond to that by saying they don't belong here. Bruce lunges in and just caves one of their faces in. Bruce squares up for the other 2 as slam. The store owner strikes him in the back of the head with a wrench, saying that Bruce should have listened. That's when DJ arrives, asking what's going on here, and when the store owner fills him in, DJ is the one to lead the charge in kicking Bruce while he's down.
I love city boys. Hey, chin up, man. It's your lucky day. Tonight is when we get to pay back this horrible city. It turned its back on our boys and embraced the swill. Well, all that changes now, starting with you.
Bruce takes the beating, able to tell the mother and son to run to safety beforehand. A priest, Father Peters, dives in to protect Bruce from the beating as he pleads with one of the pig masks.
Jeffrey, I've known you since before you could walk. This is not you.
Jeffrey hesitates, but DJ immediately interjects.
Nah, just leave those bitches on the ground where they belong. Let's do what we came here to do. Come on, boys.
This comic's take on violence is very multifaceted, and it comes at it from a lot of different angles. But this is the first actual justification we're getting for violence, and it's from the leader of this white supremacist group. So naturally, it's not a great reason. There's definitely some holes in the logic here. The main reasoning here is payback, justified vengeance for some perceived aggression against them. It's undeniable that as a culture, we have accepted the idea of payback and vengeance as a perfectly justified reason to commit violence. Some recent examples are John Wick, Nobody, The Beekeeper, I don't know, I didn't watch it, etc. Like all those action movies where it's like, it's one man getting vengeance. Everyone is aware that the world is falling apart, that something's wrong, some injustice is being done to you, and it is a very natural reaction for people to want to fight back. But instead of being told to fight back against the systems that torture you, these groups foster a persecution complex in young men. They tell them, yes, you are right to feel that way, something is wrong. It's the woke immigrants who hate you for being white. Wah. The terrifying thing about this mentality is how seemingly easy it is for someone to latch onto it and never let go. I mean, how do you even break this mentality? Their version of reality is so distorted compared to mine that I don't even know how to interact with them. I remember seeing something a while ago, a TikTok from a teacher talking about how they deal with students who have been clearly misinformed about something by somebody, like they think the world is just flat. And the advice there was that you can't be an aggressor to their ideology. You couldn't just tell them they are wrong. You have to meet them in the middle and slowly make them come to realize that their way of thinking was wrong. But how do I engage with people who spew shit that I know to be so vile and disgusting? I mean, God, they give less respect to innocent people than I give to flies. We then cut to inside Father Peter's home. Bruce wakes up having been bandaged up and resting on the couch.
They really got you good. Got us good, I should say.
Bruce picks up a photograph on the nightstand. A picture of Father Peters and many others join together in protest as assault rifles are pointed at them. Father Peters talks about how chasing peace feels like a never-ending journey. Bruce changes the subject, asking about the tattoo on the boy's arm. Father Peters responds that 6 months ago, DJ showed up to start recruiting, filling the holes in these boys' hearts, leading them down a dark path. Bruce asks more, leading Father Peters to reveal that the group plans to run the entire encampment out of town by any means necessary. This shot might be a little overdramatic now looking at it, but why not? Father Peters is a very interesting character to me because he is obviously a good person. He throws himself over Bruce to protect him, and we can see him at the start of the issue in the refugee camp. In fact, a lot of people read this comic and they walk away with the interpretation that Father Peters is the true hero. Yet personally, I find a strange complacency in his character. I mean, he knows that the refugee camp is going to be overrun tonight, but he's here at his house. It doesn't seem like he was planning on doing anything. His town has been completely overtaken, and the most we've seen him do about it is make one of them hesitate about attacking somebody for a second. Look, I don't know what he should be doing, but it's clear that this isn't working. To me, Father Peters doesn't represent a true hero, this moral paradigm that a lot of people see him as, but rather I see it as a kind of faction in this debate of righteousness versus effectiveness in how we deal with these issues. Father Peters does things the right way, but it's inoffensive and ineffective in practice. And that brings up the question, is it the right way to do things then? Bruce doesn't hesitate though, immediately going to his truck. The truck was torched, but it doesn't matter. Bruce just needs the briefcase from the back. We cut to the outskirts of the encampment. What must be 100 men armed and rallied behind DJ looms over the refugees when a cop car pulls up. 2 cops exit, telling DJ that they can't let him do this when they start laughing. The 2 officers pull down their face masks and join the rest of the white hoods in pig masks. DJ looks back at the group and says,
Let's clean up this town!
They rush in. The refugees try to run, scattering in every direction as the supremacists violently beat down on whoever they can get a hold of with baseball bats and batons.
Do you see us? Do you see me? I am the new truth. I am power.
In the middle of the viscera, as refugees desperately try to claw away from DJ, he stands proud, performing a Sig Hail, screaming,
Pure power, white power.
Batman snaps the arm he salutes with. DJ falls to his knees in pain as Batman marches into the crowd. This is the most famous panel from the entire issue. It's the one that really blew up, that people shared, and it is no wonder why. Where do I stand? I feel like I'm blocking it. Elon Musk did a Sig Hail at Trump's inauguration and then claimed it was just a Roman salute. They are trying to sell this as normal. Every day we're forced to somehow interact with people, even in a small way. Just seeing a post online of people whose ability to perform mental gymnastics to justify this shit is truly astounding. And after a while, it does start to feel normal. And just when we can't picture a world without it, crack. Batman is here to remind us that this is gross and disgusting and it shouldn't be tolerated. That's so important. And if that's all most people ever get out of this comic, I see that as a win. Somebody tries to rush Batman with a baseball bat, but he kicks him in the jaw. One of the police officers yell for somebody else to shoot him, but before he can even finish, Batman picks him up and slams him into the ground. This panel is also really good. Even though I saw that it did get shared a bunch alongside the other one, I still think it's underrated. The art here does a really good job of selling just how kinetic and brutal these things are, but it also does a really good job of selling the difference in the violent acts. Who deserves more brutal attacks than others? DJ is inciting all of this, so he gets a full double-page spread. I mean, really reveling in that crack. But here, this cop has, I mean, debatably a whole page, half a page, just dedicated to this. This cop is using their position and authority to commit these heinous acts while proudly displaying police on their body armor and wearing a mask over their face to remain some level of anonymous. The comic already introduced the idea of people being indoctrinated and manipulated in this group, but here, with these people, there's no hesitation in the sheer brutality this comic wants to just revel in. The shopkeeper from before holds a gun to a kid's head, so Batman throws batarangs into his eyes and knees him right to the skull. DJ desperately tries to grab the shopkeeper's gun as Batman approaches. DJ fires, the shot whizzing past Bruce's shoulder. Bruce just begins to pummel DJ, blow after blow, beating him into the ground as thunder roars out with every punch as Father Peters dives in, protecting DJ just like he did Bruce. Bruce shouts out,
What are you doing? This won't fix it. It won't. I don't know how to make it better. I only know how to not make it worse. Please, this isn't the way. This is my way!
We're told our entire lives, whether we realize it or not, that humanity is inherently violent. It's basically the cornerstone of right-wing rhetoric. We crave brutality like this. It's in our blood. It's how we survive. But is that true? In a world with proper justice, would we crave this? The truth is we've survived and built society as we know it because we trusted each other and built community. Right-wing talking heads like to talk about the early days of humanity and how we were such great hunters while completely ignoring the fact that we were such great hunters because we worked in groups. Violence against another person goes against our survival instinct. It goes against our very nature. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. Hold on, I got...
Nothing bad ever happens to the Kennedy!
Ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. John F. Kennedy. What a stupid fucking quote. Genuinely. We should always question what our country, what society offers us, because why put up with a system that offers us no value? We're told to do a service to society. Don't commit violence on another person and we will make a civilized world. But violence is merely a symptom. It is the fever trying to rid the actual virus. It is always a response, a reaction. A true civilized world should provide us with no reason to commit violence. We cut to a mansion that proudly displays the symbol they all have tattooed. Somebody rides through on a motorcycle screaming that he got DJ. Everyone asks what's going on as the people who got away after attacking the refugees try to explain through hysterics, Batman. Bruce flicks through a huge ring of keys he took from the shopkeeper as he comes across a bulldozer. Bruce uses one of the keys and starts to drive.
All right, originally I was going to film this at a construction site in front of a bulldozer. That ended up being more difficult than I expected. So here we are. It was a really big deal when this was coming out that we were finally going to learn how Absolute Batman got a bulldozer as his Batmobile. And I gotta say, actually reading it in this comic, I love this explanation. It calls back to that company that was mentioned earlier that built some stuff and then left. The failure of infrastructure that primed the boys in this town to join this violent group. It specifically set up DJ to build this group. There's already an obvious implication here, but now the bulldozer, that's being pushed even further because what the company left a bulldozer here that the supremacist group just took. That's really odd unless this is intentional and that company was just there to support DJ in setting up the infrastructure that would lead to this. I meant to write white supremacist group, but I accidentally wrote shite supremacists. So that's really funny. Also, not that I would be mad if Bruce just stole from a corporation, because all companies are evil, but I do like that he stole from such an obviously evil group here. I find Absolute Batman's constant fixation with infrastructure really interesting. It's something that I talked a lot about in my other Absolute Batman video, so watch that if you haven't. But it's something that's once again specifically brought up here. It is very hard to explain how the system makes us angry, how it chips away at you little by little, the small mundane parts of our life that are made specifically to annoy us, to make us tired. It's very abstract in practice. It's one of the reasons why so many grab onto racist rhetoric, because it is easier to accept that you are angry because this one group is pissing you off than to accept that the world itself, the things you accept as immutable, unchangeable aspects of life, parts of the human condition, are manufactured to annoy you. So while infrastructure as an example doesn't solve the problem, the example of, hey, traffic doesn't have to be real, or we don't have to have anti-homeless architecture. We can point to these systems that are clearly created with malicious intent. We could be allowed to just sit on benches or take a train. Things don't have to be this difficult. The supremacists all hunkered down in their mansion, screaming about how they don't have any more supplies. The pawn shop where they got all their weapons is burnt to the ground. Then one of the supremacists runs from the windows, telling everyone to get back as the bulldozer tears through the mansion. The ones left standing open fire as Bruce exits the bulldozer and just starts swinging through the crowd with his battle axe. Finally, the last few cling to the back wall as they muster out. Get back, man. You can't do this. We're human beings.
No. You're roaches. Only one way to deal with those.
Fire engulfs the mansion, burning those flags to the ground. Through the fire, Father Peters rushes in with first aid, bandaging up one of the supremacist burns.
Why?
You have your way, and I have mine.
Bruce drives back to Gotham in the bulldozer, thinking back to that conversation with his dad from the start of the issue.
You made a difference. You did something.
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna do that too. I'm gonna be just like you.
Bruce stops the bulldozer and looks out at the mansion in flames. Young Bruce looks at a picture, the same picture Father Peters had. Ah, that was before the mustache. We barely knew what we were doing then. But I guess I barely know what I'm doing now. But you, Bruce, I know your nature. I know who you are deep down. You have a strong and compassionate heart. All you have to do is be yourself. Bruce looks down at his hands, covered in blood, before he curls up next to the bulldozer and cries, "No matter what you do, I'll always be proud of you."
What are you doing? Why are you laying like that? I don't think I need to explain the symbolism in Batman's hands literally being bloodied. Nobody wants to be violent. It's a means, something that's resorted to when there's no other options left, and yet we're told to view ourselves as monsters for even thinking about it, unless it's elementary school in the Middle East, then that means you're one of the good guys. I hate it when people say violence is never the answer. Not because I harshly disagree with it, but because it takes a very complicated logistical argument and makes it into a very flimsy moral argument. Logically, violence can't kill an ideology, and trying it on a group built on a persecution complex runs a very big risk of martyrdom and thus further radicalization. See, my cat saw no other option than to bite me. Of course, though, that logic is assuming that there's only one path with this option. I have to choose my words very carefully here because I am scared of getting this video taken down. Basically, there is a lot I don't know. Even logistically, I don't like to use such absolutes as never. The only absolutes I like are the comics. Ayo. Morally, though, the fuck do I know? I am a straight white man. The world is a much safer place for me than it is for most. Your relationship to the ideas presented in this comic are truly your prerogative based off your lived experience, and I am not going to try to lecture you on right and wrong when it comes to this stuff because it is nuanced. When I said I was genuinely asking about the topic, I meant it. Writing this video, I came to a realization. I grew up in Slaughter Swamp. Welcome to Prescott, Arizona. I was planning on filming this somewhere maybe a bit more notable, but honestly, I was scared that someone would hear what I'm about to say and shoot me. So I decided to just start driving until I found a more secluded place, but that's the thing about small towns. All roads lead to Walmart. So here we are. Prescott's an interesting place. Our few historical claims to fame include the world's first rodeo, Richard Nixon recovering from pneumonia here as a child, and this picture of the Ku Klux Klan parading right in front of the Prescott courthouse. A great example of just how easily accepted into everyday life the Klan was for most Americans. What a great reputation, I know. But what most people don't realize is with us being in Arizona and thus pretty close to the border, a good sizable chunk of this town's population is immigrants. Does this foster a greater sense of empathy due to close proximity? No, but damn, the city officials must love it. They have an endless supply of scapegoats. Literally anything happens here and it is either the fault of immigrants or Californians for some reason. They keep starting these random construction projects that just make life insufferable, all for this illusion of progress, of them doing something. They keep digging up like 3-mile stretches of road for 6 months, just for no reason. And when they actually go back and replace it, they don't even mark the lanes correctly. Like there's one road here where they didn't get rid of the old lane markers, but they put new ones. So what is supposed to be 3 lanes, I'm pretty sure, is like 7 overlapping lanes. It's a nightmare. They carved a random road through my favorite hiking trail for a shortcut that maybe saves 3 to 5 minutes at most. Our infrastructure is collapsing around us, our roads littered with memorials for fatal car accidents. But yes, let's use more money to put up flock cameras, which use AI to detect illegal immigrants and report back to ICE. That'll fix it. Most of those fatal car accidents are due to drunk driving, which is something that no matter how much I think about it, I can't understand the decision to do that. But I find myself wondering that if not for these everyday annoyances, these tiny things eating away at these people, would they be so willing to turn to numbing themselves? Could this be a systemic issue rather than just 30 one-offs a year? Either way, I don't think I'll find the answer anytime soon here, since every crash is somehow twisted into being blamed on illegal immigrants driving without a license. Those are examples of the government using immigrants as a scapegoat for, let's be nice and call it incompetence. But there are also clear cases where it is obviously genuine malice. Recently, a local business here got raided by ICE for human trafficking and money laundering. Translation, there were illegal immigrants working there that were being paid under the table to work. Immediately after, though, the mayor of Prescott Valley, which Prescott's technically in like 4 different towns, it's weird, but he swooped in and bought out the business immediately after it was raided by ICE. He is directly benefiting from an ICE raid. Yikes. And that's not even going into the obvious implication that he could have orchestrated all of this. He could have called ICE and is now benefiting by cleaning up the scraps left in ICE's wake. Words can't do justice to how genuinely disgusting that is to me. And nothing's happening. I don't know what to do about that. I don't know how to fix that. And nobody else is doing anything either. Recently, though, I've been trying to get more in touch with my community, which isn't easy for me because I'm not the best at social interactions, but I genuinely believe that making the world a better place, having a open-minded communities that are safe for people is incredibly important. But I discovered something really strange. A No Kings protest with 3,000 people down the exact same street that the Klan once paraded down. The generations before me that believed in peace and fought for it, that I never knew were there. Growing up, I had no idea they were here because I had only seen the world get worse. Their way of doing things didn't work. This fixation on no matter what doing peaceful protest when that's not even what this is. I've read Martin Luther King Jr.'s writing. Peaceful protest still needs to be disrupted. That protest with 3,000 people, everyone dispersed at 1 p.m. because that's when the permitted protest time ended. What? That's not... Ugh. It should demand attention. Yet these are the same people who have the goal to talk about the right way of doing things. Which, I don't know what the right way is, but it can't be this, right?
It genuinely annoys me to hear people talking about Father Peters as the true hero of this story, because aren't heroes supposed to do something? Aren't they supposed to save us? I think in a very intentional and deliberate way, our perception of what a hero is has been skewed. Heroes aren't really defined by their values and beliefs, they are defined by how they act on those beliefs. Without Batman's intervention, so many of those refugees would have just been killed. And yet most of the discussion around this comic has been this strange scaling of moral character to decide who's in the right here. Only for seemingly most people to decide that yes, the person who was willing to sit by while a massacre happened is the true hero because they were acting non-violently. Maybe Batman's not in the right here. Maybe there was a better way that nobody, including myself, could think of, but it's out there. But still, I respect the character more who is willing to try something.
The reveal that Thomas knew Father Peters, that picture was of the two of them together, is a pretty big twist that I haven't mentioned yet. It's mostly here to double down on Bruce's guilt, how he lost his way in his anger, but it's led to I don't want to say misinterpretation, because a lot of interpretations are valid, especially for this comic, but an interpretation that I disagree with. A lot of people take this to be that Father Peters is a stand-in for Thomas's morals, but I disagree. When Father Peter sees the photo, he remarks that peace is a never-ending journey. He compares it to the Sisyphusian task of him forever trying over and over again for peace. But Thomas is much more willing to admit that their way didn't work. That didn't work back then. They didn't know what they were doing. Thomas is much closer to a middle ground. He knows things aren't working. Instead, he pivots to teaching, trying to save kids and prevent this radicalization. Bruce is still trying to find his way, and he's guilty here not because of Father Peter's being this perfect obelisk of morality, the epitome of justice, but rather separately because Bruce isn't living up to his own morals. He isn't following his heart. What I think this short story specifically advocates for is being able to recognize when something isn't working and adapting. Because isn't that what a true hero is? Somebody who rises to the challenge?
We then open the second story on an abandoned church with the title card Sanctuary. A group of party animals sneak inside, led by a man with a half-broken mask. The man starts to lead around the group, showing them around. A large party animal draped in a cloth coughs out,
Weapons. He's coming.
The group gets to work building makeshift defenses and traps as the man with a half-broken mask is enamored by a collection of family photos. While they try to crack the safe, the cloaked party animal asks Half Mask,
You grew up in a church?
It's my dad's house after my parents split. You know, with dwindling congregations, my dad and his wife started a business, flips churches into McMansions.
Half Mask finally opens the safe to find it empty, as his father turns the corner with a shotgun in hand, asking, I sleep with the shotgun these days. What have you done now, Victor?
You weren't there for Mom, you stupid old bastard. You stupid old bastard!
It's immediately pretty clear what Victor represents here. The half mask with one eye still visible and all his family problems. He's an initiate in this group. He's lost and confused, feeling abandoned by his family, so he turns to a new group, one that he can be accepted in as long as he gives them a sanctuary, provides value by either enabling violence or committing violence, which is easy, or at least much easier than dealing with his family issues. Screams ring out through the church as we cut to the roof where black cloth surrounds and disarms all the party animals put on watch. All we see is the cape curling in the wind as Batman enters the building. We cut back to Victor and his dad as two party animals rush around the corner and strike Victor's dad with a hammer. The cloaked party animal demands to know where the rest of the guns are as Victor stares blankly silent. We cut to the next line of defense the party animals have, arguing about who should go first into a narrow hallway that Batman definitely has the advantage in. Back to the cloaked party animal as he lines up rows of green powder from small bottles. Victor's dad opens briefcases filled with automatic weapons and grenades. He claims the neighborhood's gone downhill.
Damn, you one of us, you old son of a bitch.
Back to the hallway, one party animal slowly walks through, and as he gets to the other side, he's pulled into the ceiling and then into the darkness as he tries to claw away from Batman, but to no avail as the mask hits the ground. We then get this beautiful page of Batman dismantling the entire group, obscured in shadow. The cloaked party animal reveals himself to Batman, tearing off the cloak to reveal burn scars covering his entire body.
You burned me once, you son of a bitch! Suck holy flame!
So it's hard to say definitively, but the assumption that this character is one of the white supremacists from the first story has a lot of evidence going for it. And more importantly than facts and logic, I like it narratively. First off, him specifically mentioning that Batman burned him is frankly evidence enough for me. Batman doesn't often do that. I doubt any writer would say that Batman lit somebody on fire off screen. However, the character does mention losing to Batman twice in one night, so it could be read that he received that damage earlier in the same night. And I think it would be a big stretch to say that someone from the white supremacist group made their way to Gotham and joined the party animals in a single night. But in that little tidbit, I think we get our most damning piece of evidence in just how accurate this is. When one of these groups is dismantled, they just hop ship to the next one.
I was again going to use my hometown as an example and use its history of white supremacist groups, but when I actually sat down to research the groups that I knew were here, I have heard about them my whole life, nothing. Local museums and newspapers not downright saying that the Klan wasn't here, because they can't do that. There's pictures, there's evidence, but rather saying that it just fizzled out magically. It never got a foothold in Prescott. What? The most I could find was that the Klan was completely anonymous except for one person who specifically wanted a Klan funeral, to which there were like 100 in attendance because they were curious. Of course, this can't be the whole story. So originally this section was me making a lot of assumptions about the Klan's time here in Prescott when I was perusing my local bookstore that I buy comics at, and I found it. The Hidden History of Prescott by Parker Anderson. I went, look, I have some time to spare. I'm probably not gonna get what I need from this, but I'll take a look anyways. Goldmine. Holy shit. Look, I'm putting so much emphasis on this because it really means a lot to me that an actual historian, Parker Anderson, put so much work into documenting my hometown's history. I mean, it was such a breath of fresh air after having to read all those bullshit articles glorifying my hometown by ignoring the uncomfortable subjects. And I would be holding up the book right now, but I actually don't have the money to buy it, so please subscribe. Prescott didn't have enough black people to justify the Klan, but we had plenty of indigenous people. The Smoke Eye were a group from the early 1920s to the 1990s that was a, how do I even put this? It was a completely fictitious indigenous tribe with a made-up backstory so that white men could do culturally appropriated dances from the local tribes at a yearly performance. However, after the Prescott Klan disbanded, its purpose seemed to have changed. The performances were just a justification for the social club of all of Prescott's elites who got matching fake tribal tattoos on their left hand. All in their clubhouse, which is behind me right here, right next to what was formerly the Smoke Eye Museum, which was where they collected all of the tribal paraphernalia that they took from the tribes, all in the name of preserving the culture. Also, this is unsubstantiated and I don't really have any evidence for it, but I've grown up hearing horror stories of all the abuses committed in this clubhouse behind me. Eventually, the Smoke Eye did end. The official reason I could find, somebody from the Hopi tribe saw one of their performances and said it was offensive, to which the entire Smoke Eye group was like, oh, we didn't know, let's disband. Thank God for Parker Anderson, because I don't know how I could have found the truth if not for him. The local tribes always had a problem with the Smoke Eye performances, obviously. And it wasn't until a journalist actually compiled grievances from every local tribe that people began to take notice. The Smoke Eye's veneer dropped. It wasn't preserving or celebrating the culture, it was mocking it. However, that still wasn't enough. It took the entire Hopi tribe, not just one guy, protesting those yearly performances, ruining the thing that they based their entire group off of, for them to actually disband. The Smoke Eye still left their mark on Prescott though, their symbol still visible on top of their old abandoned clubhouse. The museum, now the Museum of Indigenous People, is run by a great guy who cares not only about his own tribe's culture, but all of the local tribes. And it has genuinely become a place of preserving these cultures. It has become the thing they lied, saying it was. But people still call it the Smoke Eye Museum.
It's just so odd for me because I've grown up around people talking about these incidents like they are relics of the past, a time long forgotten, or just blatantly ignoring them. Like, I don't have relatives that were members of the Smoke Eye right till the very end. It's a pattern, it's calculated. Again, these groups don't vanish, they adapt. In the Smoke Eye's wake, it seems like multiple groups sprung up, none gaining the same amount of popularity, disorganized but still scary. However, over time, they've stumbled into something new, something really scary. Now it's just about being proud. No, it's not racist. They're just proud of being white. They wave the Confederate flag because of Southern pride. Seeing this as racist is, what? This isn't even about you, because they don't think of people of color or minority groups besides putting them down, and questioning their pride is an insult to them. It's disgusting. And in a generation with documented self-confidence issues, selling the idea of being proud of your heritage to young boys who don't know any better, it's no wonder the Black Lives Matter protests here had 100 armed counter-protesters with assault rifles. It's an assembly line for bigots. And it's not just my town. I'm sure that any of you with enough research can find a similar history, a similar pattern in your own towns or cities. Mine was just really bad at hiding it. Or maybe it isn't even trying to. Victor's dad tackles Victor to the floor as the burned party animal starts firing at Batman, littering the room with bullet holes. Batman tries to jump at him from the high ground but is caught midair. His vision of Batman distorts because of the drugs, becoming an incomprehensible monster. The remaining party animals grab pots of boiling water and throw them at Batman, who dodges one before using his cape to sling one back at the burnt party animal. The ones holding pots all scatter as the burnt party animal, drenched with boiling water, starts to speak.
Suns burn to make light and cast out the dark.
He grabs all the grenades from his side and unpins them, lifting them into the air. Boom. Batman shields Victor and his dad from the blast, but even so, Victor's dad's face is half covered in blood and burns. You're okay. You're all right, kid. Victor and his dad hug as Batman glides away. These two short stories are placed together like this very intentionally. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about this comic so much, is because people just focus on that first story, when the whole point of this comic, I think, is for us to compare and contrast these situations, and through that we can find a larger story here. Both have their similarities. Batman fighting a violent group who preys upon mostly young men searching for community and purpose. However, these endings couldn't be more different. One of them with Batman curled up and crying, and the other with him gliding away triumphantly. And the only real difference is in how Batman treated specifically the indoctrinated of this group. In the first story, he chases them down, burns their organization to the ground, calls them roaches, hands out this justice, this punishment for their actions. But in the second story, he saves Victor. That is a very Batman response to the situation. He's a character built around a no-kill rule. A no-kill rule that nowadays is characterized as Batman having a genuine belief in rehabilitation. I had this one video pop up on my For You page of Comics Explained talking about the comic. It was specifically titled Absolute Batman Before His No-Kill Rule, which I think is a pretty valid interpretation. These two stories represent a character arc of Batman coming to terms with the fact that he himself is someone who believes people can get better, and that he doesn't believe in killing.
However, the world isn't as simple as Victor's clear family issues. No kid is going to be wearing half of a Klan hood to show that they're still on the fence about the whole thing. Having empathy in these situations is an extraordinary risk. It should also involve a very complicated discussion about how much free will we actually have. How much personal responsibility do people who have been indoctrinated have in their own indoctrination? What do they deserve? And that's a discussion I have no desire to start in this video. I wanted this story to give me a simple answer, and it didn't, because that's not really what stories are for. And that's not what I'm going to make this video. It's a mirror. What you see in these pages is mostly dependent on you. And this video is simply me showing off a shiny mirror that I like, that challenged me as a person, like all great art does.
Originally, there was going to be a larger section of this video dedicated to woke grifters and their reaction to the comic that I cut because, one, listening to that shit is genuinely draining, and two, I'm working on a video with a similar topic, so I'll probably just lump all those ideas together. But one video really stuck out to me. It was this guy, and the video just starts off with him so much anger and rage in his voice. You could hear the blood vessel popping in his forehead, basically, just screaming at the top of his lungs, "They want to kill you." This comic proves it. They want to kill us. I mean, I don't need to explain why that is an insane interpretation of this comic, but that's the thing about talking about art. It reveals a lot about you. I mean, just engaging with art like this, you do reveal what you see in the mirror. You reveal a lot about yourself, especially in the characters you relate to, the characters you see yourself in. And he saw himself as DJ. To me, these stories tell a very complicated tale of the effects of violence on ourselves as well as others. And then through all this karmic and cosmic weight behind every decision, just that sheer existentialism of whether or not we should be violent, a character I look up to chooses to give somebody a second chance with no evidence as to why he should. Just a hope that that kid could get better. Who knows if Victor's and his dad's relationship can actually improve. They have a lot of baggage, clearly. But it ends with Victor's dad having half of his face melted off, half of his skull exposed as him and his son hug, each of them with half of a skull. That's an interesting moment. We already had the cloaked party animals say that Victor's dad was one of them because of his large assortment of weapons. Is that saying that he is susceptible to the party animals, that Victor's dad is just as at risk? Or is it somebody with a tough exterior physically having the layers peeled away and being forced to show vulnerability with their son? Emotions that clearly their son has needed them to express for a long time. I guess I just choose to believe the former.
I know that might have felt like a conclusion to the video, but there is a third story here. Not a lot of people talk about the third story, which I get why. I completely missed it on my first read through, but I truly think this story adds something to the comic that not discussing it would feel lacking.
It's framed as a web article titled "Let's Learn About Bats," set to a variety of different screenshots from Gothamite's social media. First, we see a photo from Twitter of Batman jumping between roofs titled "Staying in Tonight," as the article talks about the fear of bats, chiroptophobia. Then a YouTube video titled "How to Beat a Speeding Ticket," with a picture of Batman zooming past traffic, with the article talking about how fast bats can fly. An Instagram post of Batman giving food to the homeless with the hashtag #GothamSighting, as the article says that vampire bats will often share food with other hungry bats. Then a TikTok titled "Why Does Batman Hate Me?" with a comment, "I don't know, 'cause you keep being shady," as the article says bats are excellent pest control. The news reports on a drug bust, theorizing if it's good policing or local vigilante, as the article reports how a colony of bats can eat over 600 million bugs a year. Then a live stream exploring an abandoned building as Batman darts across the screen, with the streamer telling their chat that if they think they saw something, no they didn't. The article writes that half of the population of bats in the United States are endangered, but many try to help. Finally, a picture of a busy street as Gothamites pass by wearing the bat symbol on their clothes, as the article finishes with, "Bats are social creatures. They survive best in numbers." It almost seems off topic from this dissection of violence we've had throughout the entire issue, but it is really the perfect bookend because it calls back to that question asked at the very start: what will you do? The first story follows Batman and how he perceives himself, and then we get a story of the party animals and how they perceive Batman, and now the public, how they perceive Batman, and in a way, how we perceive him. Also, the art here is dramatically different, with art by Meredith McClaren, and I've already talked about how the first two stories use their art to push their themes, but here I think it really serves it in the way that it distinguishes itself from the other two stories. This story is on a more positive note, more hopeful. This is how Batman is helping people, by having people build community and rally around this symbol that he created. This is Batman finding his way. This short story is really just a bunch of smaller short stories though. It's short story set. Why did I write that? First, the Twitter post, somebody implying Batman's a danger, while the article talks about a phobia of bats, implying that this fear they're feeling is irrational. Then we get two posts that look up to Batman. First up, someone talking about how cool he is for beating a speeding ticket, and then an Instagram post of him giving food to the homeless. The part I find really interesting about these posts is that they don't mention Batman in the caption. One of him feeding the homeless has specifically the hashtag Gotham Sighting. It's clear who they're talking about here, but this representation of talking around the algorithm and how it censors posts is really cool to see in a comic. It gives me that same warm feeling as when I see like an Instagram reel about somebody clearly like in distress, somebody who needs help, and then the comment is just a paragraphs of completely unrelated text. It doesn't have to be overt, but the idea of someone taking time to type this out to support this person is just wholesome. There's also this live stream with the streamer telling their chat they didn't see anything as to not give away Batman's location. It's just a story of these small bits of support, people doing what they can. We end with this panel, which I really like, of a bunch of people just walking on a Gotham street wearing bat paraphernalia, except for this woman right here who's just on her smartphone, which that always confused me. It took me way too many times to reading it to realize that this is probably the person writing the article. Even if you read the article alone without the context of the panels, I think it's still very pro-Bat. It's just another example of someone just posting about Batman, supporting him, but not overtly. That's a really interesting idea to me, someone using Bat facts as an excuse to educate people in this roundabout way. I guess that's pretty close to what I tried to do. So in order to make these videos, I have to reread these comics over and over and over again, and honestly, the more I read them, usually the more I genuinely fall in love with them and the story they're telling. But Absolute Batman Annual #1, there's always been something there. No matter how many times I reread it, there's just something about the story that doesn't connect with me. I think I finally understand where that feeling comes from, as I wanted this comic to validate me, to in some way give me the answer, when in the very first page, Thomas says, "I don't know the answer." I have spent the last 2 years trying to find the answer. How do we fix this? How can I help? I have waited and waited for somebody who knows better than me to tell me what I'm supposed to do here, and that day never came. I've seen this sentiment echoed everywhere on every social media map, people waiting for the revolution to start, something they can rally behind, somebody to step up and lead the way, when that's never going to happen, because who exactly would lead that? No one person can have the answer, because at the end of the day, we only have our perspective. And I'm getting a little philosophical here, but we can know how to fix our world, but we can never know how to fix the world. The answer to all of the world's problems simply doesn't exist. It can't exist, not really. Of course, this comic couldn't give me the answer, but it wasn't trying to. It's just a mirror. And I think in that I find my answer. I'm not Batman. I don't have that in me. I'm the author at the end who writes about bats. I don't know how much these videos help or if they actually make a difference, but this is what I know. This is what I'm passionate about and what I'm able to do. I'll keep learning and making mistakes, but at the end of the day, this is my way.
The most important thing right now is for us to stop debating what the perfectly right thing to do is and just start acting. Trust your gut and do whatever your answer is. Do what you're good at and hope for the best. And if you're thinking that you're not good at anything, I don't think that's true. Your entire life has been cultivating skills for something. Maybe you're good at something we just don't have a word for yet. I spent my entire life learning how to draw at an above average skill level and then decided to pick up a camera at an hopefully average skill level. Those drawing skills shouldn't serve me any purpose, but I don't know how to do visual effects. So I fill in what I don't know with what I know. I draw over each frame individually. Is it efficient? No, but this is what I'm good at. This is how I'm going to help, or at least try to help. You'll figure out your way. Based on my YouTube statistics, I'm guessing that most of my audience is younger, who lied about their age when they were 10 and never changed it. And even if you aren't part of that group, there's a good chance you haven't found your way yet. It is beyond frustrating to want to help and not exactly know how, especially if you're young, being thrown into a world that you can see so obviously needs help, but you're not experienced enough. You don't know what you're doing. I'm projecting right now. But it's important to remember that we still can help. That even in this endless sea of algorithms and bot bullshit, you are a person with a voice. Share the symbols that inspire you. That's what I'm doing. I am not a great filmmaker yet. Those clips I showed are from short films that I don't think those helped anybody. So I adapted. I'll make these videos. I will piggyback off of the stories and the symbols that I love until I'm good enough to make my own.
The part that really sucks for us who want to do something right now is it really feels like we're outnumbered. Which, is that true? Yes and no. The world's pretty obviously gone to shit, but I think even more obvious than that now is that people seeing just how bad things are isn't doing anything, isn't inspiring action. People still keep saying, like, release the files. What more has to be released? We know, like, I feel like I don't need to know any more. Like, do we really need to get into the nitty gritty of what happened there? We know it's bad. We know, like, all of this information is out there at this point. It's not, it hasn't done anything. A lot of people just aren't willing to get rid of the world as it is to take that dramatic action, because it feels like if they do, they are giving up their basic necessities like food, water, shelter, and I can't really blame them for that.
I think we have to show people the way things can be. Start building to the world we want to see now before we get rid of the old one. We build the infrastructure now to show people that there's a better way. It is easy to talk and say these things though, but honestly, I have no clue how to even go about doing that. But I guess we start small. Right now, I think we just start acting. We exist. Let ourselves be known, make mistakes, normalize our way of thinking, fight back against this bullshit rhetoric we see everywhere, whenever we can. Does this video make sense? I don't know, but I know that if it doesn't, I will make the next one better. I'll learn from my mistakes. What would the world look like if everybody at the same time was building to their perfect world? I don't know. Nobody could possibly know what that looks like. No one person could comprehend or imagine that. But one day I would like to see that. For now though, I will just keep sharing this